Someone on TikTok just said, HAARP caused last week's freak lightning storm ... And I wanted to laugh, till I saw the actual footage. And now I'm 40 videos deep, watching clouds glitch in real time. Look, I'm not saying it's real, but I'm also not sleeping well tonight. Chapter 1. Wait, ... What even is HAARP? Let's be honest, when you hear the word HAARP, it kind of sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Like, maybe it's a weapon, maybe it's a satellite, or maybe it's a jazz instrument that controls the weather. Who knows? Well, we're going to break it down. HAARP stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but at its core, it was created as a scientific research facility in Alaska, designed to study the upper layer of Earth's atmosphere, way up above where planes fly. Scientists wanted to better understand how radio waves travel, especially for things like military communication, satellite systems, and even predicting space weather. Sounds normal so far, right? Here's where it gets weird. HAARP uses high-powered radio transmitters to send energy up into the sky. And by sky, I mean the ionosphere, about 50 to 400 miles above us. They shoot energy into that layer to see how it reacts. Supposedly, it helps with research like improving GPS or detecting underground structures. But if you've ever read anything on the internet or more recently, scrolled TikTok, then you know that's not where the story ends. Some people believe HAARP is not just doing harmless science. They think it's a secret weather control weapon, like straight up manipulating storms, or triggering earthquakes, or even altering human behavior using frequencies. Sounds crazy, sure, but let's not forget we live in a world where pigeons wear backpacks for the government. These theories didn't just appear overnight. The HAARP program has been surrounded by mystery since it began in the 1990s. It was funded by the US Air Force, Navy, and the Defense Advanced Research Projects, Agency DARPA. That's like the agency that makes robot dogs and invisible drones. So when you hear military-funded project that beams invisible energy into the sky from a remote facility in Alaska, yeah, it's not hard to see why people start asking questions. And let's talk about the location for a second. HAARP is tucked away in Gacona, Alaska, tiny spot in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by forest. The facility is covered with rows and rows of tall antennas that honestly look like something from an alien movie. There are fences, warning signs, security cameras, and while it's technically open to the public once in a while for tours, most people can't just walk in and poke around. So again, if you're the kind of person who loves a good mystery, this place is basically your Disneyland. Now, to be fair, scientists have repeatedly said HAARP isn't dangerous. They say the energy it sends into the ionosphere is small compared to what the sun naturally does every day. They say it doesn't create hurricanes or control mines or shake the earth, that it's just doing research. But you know how the internet works. Once a theory takes hold, especially a weird, spooky one, it spreads. And HAARP has become one of those stories that lives in the shadows of conspiracy culture, like Area 51, or the Denver airport, or birds being government drones. It didn't help that for years, nobody really explained HAARP well to the public. All people saw was a military-funded lab beaming high-frequency energy into the sky, surrounded by security. And the next thing you know, someone's blaming it for a tsunami in Asia. No joke. After the 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Japan, some people online started pointing fingers at HAARP. They said the energy could have triggered the tectonic plates. Never mind that scientists across the world agreed it was natural, it didn't matter. The internet had its villain. And this is where things start getting really interesting in 2023 and 2024. Because now, we have before TikTok, HAARP conspiracies mostly lived in weird corners of the internet, forums, old YouTube videos, Reddit threads full of grainy photos and all-caps rants. But TikTok changed the game. Now anyone with a phone can film something strange, a cloud that looks fake, lightning that doesn't flash right, thunder with no storm, and immediately say, HAARP did this, and people believe it. Or at least, they wonder. That's the key thing. Most people don't fully believe HAARP is out here summoning hurricanes, But when they see enough videos, enough glitches in the sky, and enough creators saying, "Open your eyes, people," they start to question it. And let's face it, questioning things is part of human nature, especially when they're creepy. So is HAARP real? Yes, it's a real facility. It really sends energy into the atmosphere. That's confirmed. But is it doing the things TikTok says it's doing? Well, that's where the story splits in two. One version says HAARP is nothing more than a glorified science lab. The other version says HAARP is the switchboard for controlling global weather, and we're all just pawns in a frequency experiment. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud. We don't really know. Because unless you've worked at HAARP, or read the raw data from their machines, or stood out in Gakona with a radio wave meter, you're probably going off vibes, or TikTok clips, or gut feelings. And that's exactly what makes it so fascinating. Before we move on to how TikTok is fueling this conspiracy more than ever, let's take a breath. Because whether you think HAARP is just a bunch of nerds poking the sky, or the secret reason behind the last blackout, one thing's for sure, it's back in the conversation, big time. People are filming storms, watching clouds move weird, and pointing at the sky like, bro, that's HAARP. And the fact that it could be possible even just a little makes it a story we can't ignore. So let's look at what TikTok has been saying. And honestly, some of it is way creepier than I expected. Chapter 2. TikTok, the new conspiracy engine. So, let's talk about TikTok. You know, that app where you go to watch a cat fall off a table and somehow end up learning about ancient alien technology hidden under Antarctica. Yeah, that At first glance, TikTok feels like the last place you'd expect serious conspiracy theories to show up. It's fast, chaotic, full of dances, memes, and viral trends. But that's exactly what makes it so powerful and maybe even dangerous. Because if you can mix something creepy, mysterious, and visual into a 30-second video, boom, viral. And in 2024, and now 2025, HAARP has officially gone viral again, and TikTok as the fuel behind the fire. It started with short clips. A storm rolls in, but the clouds look fake. A bolt of lightning hits the ground with no thunder. Someone records what they call sky glitching, clouds moving in weird directions or flickering lights in the distance. No big deal, right? But then someone adds spooky music. They write something in bold red font like, HAARP is active again, or this isn't normal, wake up. And suddenly it feels like a warning, not just a weather video. Let's be real. TikTok is amazing at making things feel bigger than they are. A weird cloud can look like a government experiment if you just zoom in, slow it down, and add a caption that says, look closely. You'll see it, and people love it. The hashtag HAARP2025 has started gaining millions of views. There are videos claiming HAARP is behind everything from Texas heat waves to massive snow dumps in places that almost never see snow. And I'll admit some of these videos are unsettling. Here's one I saw recently. A guy is filming the sky during a thunderstorm. Nothing too crazy at first. Then, lightning strikes but there's no sound. No thunder at all, just silence. Then another flash, still no sound. He zooms in on the clouds, and they almost look like they're shaking. The caption, HAARP test in progress. Stay inside. Is it real? No idea. Could it be a coincidence? Sure, but TikTok doesn't really care if something's true. If it feels weird, that's enough. And the more people comment things like, I saw this too, or this happened in my town last week, the more believable it starts to feel. That's the scary part. TikTok's algorithm is designed to show you more of what you watch. So if you watch one HAARP video out of curiosity, you'll get 5 more the next day, then 20 the next week. Before you know it, your feed is full of storms, sky beams, and people yelling, it's happening again. And honestly, it's kind of addictive. These clips blend reality and theory so well that it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. People are putting together montages of disasters, wildfires, earthquakes, floods, and connecting the dots back to one thing, HAARP. And they're doing it in under a minute. You don't need to read a blog or watch a documentary. You just need 30 seconds, a few dramatic sound effects, and a deep voice saying, this is no coincidence. But here's what makes this wave of HAARP content different than the old school conspiracies. TikTok has a face. You're not just reading anonymous posts on forums. You're watching real people, some of them in their cars, some filming the sky, some just talking to the camera with that intense look in their eyes. Say things like, "I work in weather monitoring, and something is seriously wrong. I've lived here 20 years, and I've never seen clouds do that." HAARP was turned back on right before this storm hit. Coincidence? They're not screaming. They're not crazy. They're calm, chill, which makes it way because now it's not some tinfoil hat guy in a bunker yelling about mind control. It's a regular girl with a cat filter saying, "Anyone else notice how the lightning looks fake lately?" And thousands of people are replying, "Yes, every night this week. Dude, I thought I was going crazy." Let's also not ignore how visually perfect this stuff is for HAARP. Conspiracy clips almost always have creepy natural sounds, foggy or flickering skies, lights that don't behave normally, weird cloud formations or sky colors. It's eerie, but it's beautiful, and it fits TikTok's fast, scroll-friendly format. You don't need to explain HAARP in detail. Just show something strange and let the comment section do the rest. And the comment section is wild. Some people share their own experiences. My phone glitched out during a storm last night. There was a rainbow at 9 p.m. Others dropped dramatic theories. HAARP is testing climate weapons before election season. They're practicing for mass mind control. And some are just trolling. This is just God doing a weather update. But here's what's really happening. TikTok has become a conspiracy engine, not because people want to lie, but because people want to connect the dots. And HAARP is the perfect mystery box for that. It's real, it's spooky, most people don't understand it, and it looks awesome in a video. That combo makes HAARP the ideal villain for a modern-day internet story. It explains things we don't understand. It gives meaning to random events. It lets people feel like they're seeing the truth before anyone else. And in the age of short attention spans, that's powerful. Now, is every HAARP video on TikTok legit? Of course not. Some are fake, some are edited, some are just clouds doing normal cloud stuff. But even if 90% are nonsense, that 10% of what if ... is all people need to stay hooked. That's the magic formula. And as long as TikTok keeps pushing this kind of content, HAARP isn't just back, it's more viral than ever. In the next chapter, we'll break down some of the most viral HAARP videos TikTok has produced and look at the so-called proof that has been making the rounds. Some of it is bizarre, some of it is funny, and one clip, it made me say out loud, okay, maybe this is something. Stay tuned. Chapter 3. The proof everyone's sharing. Alright, now we get to the good, stuffed evidence. If you spent any time scrolling through HAARP content on TikTok, you know exactly what I mean. The videos people share is proof that something unnatural is going on in the sky, that HAARP is real, active, and messing with the weather. So let's break down some of the biggest, weirdest, and most viral clips floating around right now. Viral. Clip number 1. The Square Cloud Storm. This one has been reposted 100 different times. A user films a massive thunderstorm approaching, but here's the catch: the storm front is perfectly straight, like someone drew a line across the sky. Not a natural curve, not a ragged edge, a sharp, clean, rectangular line between normal sky and dark storm. And I'm not gonna lie, it looks weird, like something out of a video game, like someone copy-pasted a cloud into the sky. The original poster says, "This isn't weather, this is HAARP." People in the comments start pointing out how clouds don't normally form like that. Others say it could be the result of frequency wave phase, if the atmosphere was being shaped by invisible energy beams. Now, meteorologists might say it's just a cold front or a shelf cloud. But on TikTok, those explanations don't get likes. Viral clip number 2. The beam of light before the earthquake. This one gave me chills. A security camera in Japan captures a still, quiet night. Then, out of nowhere, there's a flash of vertical light shooting down from the sky just for a split second. A few minutes later, an earthquake hits. The video doesn't have sound, but the silence is what makes it creepy. The light is just ... there, bright, fast, and gone. TikTok creators have taken this clip and edited it with dramatic music, subtitles, and theories. Some say it's just lightning. Others say it's ionospheric heating, the exact thing HAARP is supposed to do. And once you hear that, you start to wonder, wait, could this be the before signal? Even though there's no hard proof that light beams can cause earthquakes, the idea is powerful. And let's be real, on TikTok, emotion beats evidence every time. Viral clip number 3. The sky holes and cloud glitches. These are some of the most shared HAARP-related videos. Imagine this: a plane is flying through the clouds, and suddenly there's a perfect hole, like a donut in the sky. Clean edges, bright blue center, surrounded by gray. Other clips show clouds moving in opposite directions, or flickering like a glitch in a video game. One video shows a single black cloud in a completely clear sky, just hovering there, not moving at all. And of course, the captions say things like, "The weather is broken. HAARP is active again. Look up." People comment, "I saw this last week. It hovered for 10 minutes and then disappeared." The weird thing is, some of these things do have explanations. Sky holes are called fallstreak holes, and happen when ice crystals form in a specific way. Clouds can move in different directions due to winds at different altitudes, but when you see it through your screen, with eerie music and bold captions, it feels like something else entirely, like a glitch in reality. Why this proof works so well? Here's the thing. None of these clips actually prove HAARP is controlling the weather, at least not in a scientific sense. But that's not the point. The power of these videos is in how they make you feel. They show you something that looks off, something that doesn't match what you expect from nature. And that's all it takes. Because once you start seeing patterns, your brain wants answers, and HAARP becomes the catch-all explanation. Why is lightning silent, HAARP? Why are clouds forming in perfect lines? HAARP. Why did it snow in Texas in April? Must be HAARP. It becomes a shortcut, a label for things we don't understand or don't want to understand. The creepiest one I've seen so far. Okay, I have to tell you about the video that personally freaked me out. It's shot at night. A storm is rolling through. You can hear thunder in the distance, but it doesn't sound normal. It's rhythmic, like a beat, like the sky is drumming. Then, lightning strikes in a burst, not once, but 5 times in a row, like it's pulsing. The person filming whispers, "It's like the sky is sending a message." And I felt that. Is it just rapid lightning? Maybe. Could it be some rare weather pattern? Probably. But in that moment, watching it with the lights off, I was thinking, okay, this feels too weird. That's the power of these clips. They hit you in the gut before you can think logically. And once the idea is in your head, HAARP is messing with the atmosphere, it is hard to unsee it. Debunking versus believing now. We have to be fair. Many of these videos can be explained. Atmospheric pressure shifts, wind shear, solar flares, even human-made things like contrails or light pollution. But here's the problem. Most of us don't fully understand whether we know how to dress for it. But when it comes to the science of why a cloud forms one way and not another, yeah, not really our specialty. So when we see something bizarre and someone else says, "This is HAARP," it feels easier to believe that than to open a textbook. Plus, it's more exciting. Let's be real. Ionospheric physics doesn't go viral, but the government is frying the sky with invisible beams. Yeah, that gets clicks. The power of pattern recognition. Humans are wired to see patterns. It's how we survive. We see faces in clouds. We see animals in stars. We connect dots, even when the dots might not be connected at all. So when we watch dozens of TikToks showing strange sky behavior, our brains start saying, something's going on. Even if each video is unrelated, we feel like they're part of a bigger story, and HAARP becomes the center of that story. Whether it's true or not, doesn't even matter. The belief is powerful enough on its own. So, is this proof? Not really, at least not in a scientific sense. But in the world of the internet, perception is everything, and when enough people believe something, it starts to feel relieving if the facts are fuzzy. That's the danger. And the threat. These TikToks might not show HAARP beams zapping the sky, but they show something that makes people stop, stare, and say, Wait, what was that? And in today's world, that's all it takes to go viral. In the next chapter, we'll look at how the government has responded to all of this and whether they're calming fears or adding fuel to the fire. Because when the people in charge say, "It's fine, nothing to see here," it usually means there's definitely something to see. Chapter 4. The strange sounds and the HAARP blame game. Alright, let us talk about something that probably popped up on your feed at least once. Those bizarre, trumpet-like sounds from the sky. You know, the ones, someone films their backyard, everything's calm, and then suddenly, this low, metallic groaning noise fills the air. It sounds like a horror movie soundtrack coming from the clouds. No birds, no wind, just that eerie, mechanical moan echoing across the suburbs. And what do people in the comments always say? Bro, that's HAARP. So, what's going on here? Over the last decade, there has been a growing number of viral videos claiming to capture sky trumpets or apocalyptic sounds. Some were clearly hoaxes, just people adding weird audio in post, but others, they left even skeptics scratching their heads. These sounds were heard all over the world. Canada, Ukraine, the US, even in the middle of the ocean. Deep, metallic, and sometimes loud enough to wake entire neighborhoods. And here's where HAARP comes in. The theory goes like this. HAARP, by messing with the ionosphere, can create massive shifts in atmospheric pressure. That pressure supposedly generates infrasound or low-frequency vibrations, ones we might interpret as those haunting sky noises. Basically, people think HAARP is making the atmosphere sing, and not in a good way. Now, HAARP scientists say that's nonsense. They argue their signals are too weak to even influence weather, let alone generate global audio phenomena. And scientifically, they've got a point. The frequencies HAARP uses wouldn't travel far or affect enough area to make people on the ground hear sky screams. But still, the timing is what gets people. Because every time HAARP ramps up activity or someone spots their antenna fields in a new TikTok, these sky sound videos start trending again. Coincidence? Or something else? And then there is the deeper rabbit hole. People claiming that these noises are actually test runs for voice of God technology. Yes, you read that right. There is a belief that military programs could beam voices into people's heads using frequency manipulation, and that these ambient noises are just a warm-up act. Allegedly, HAARP would be the stage. It sounds wild, until you find old patents filed by military contractors about projecting audio using microwaves or lasers. These documents exist. They were tested, but does that mean it's happening now? Or that HAARP is behind it? That's where the hoax versus horror line gets blurry. And let's not forget nature's role. Atmospheric scientists say the Earth naturally produces infrasound during events like earthquakes, shifting tectonic plates, or even a sound can also bounce off cloud layers and travel long distances. So, some of those videos could be real, but not paranormal, just misunderstood science. Still, for every expert explanation, there's always that one clip that refuses to be debunked, like the one where a whole crowd hears it. Not just one shaky iPhone video. No filters, just dozens of people looking around, pointing to the sky, asking, "Do you hear that?" Well, it might be a mix. Some clips, definitely fake. Some, possibly explainable by science. But a few, man, those give chills. Whether or not HAARP is responsible. One thing is for sure, these sky sounds, real or not, tap into something primal. The idea that the sky could be speaking to us, or warning us. And that's the core of HAARP's internet legend. It's not just about antennas or frequencies. It's about control. The fear that someone, somewhere, has the ability to change our environment, manipulate our senses, and maybe, just maybe, flip a switch that turns reality into something else entirely. So the next time you're scrolling TikTok at 3 a.m. and hear that familiar groan echoing across a foggy skyline, you'll probably wonder, is this another prank? Or is someone testing something? Let's move on. The next chapter, we're diving into weather, but not your everyday thunderstorm. We're talking earthquakes, hurricanes, and the theory that HAARP might just be the world's strangest weather app. And spoiler, it's not from the App Store. Ready? Let's go. Chapter 5. Did HAARP trigger earthquakes and hurricanes? Let's shift gears from creepy sounds in the sky to shaking ground beneath our feet, because the next theory tied to HAARP is even bigger and more devastating. Some people believe HAARP doesn't just mess with the weather. They think it can trigger natural disasters. That's right. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, all controlled from a patch of antennas up in Alaska. Sounds crazy, right? Well, that hasn't stopped millions of people online from digging into the coincidences, and a few specific disasters come up again and again. First up, the 2010 earthquake in Haiti. It was one of the deadliest earthquakes in recent history, but just hours after it happened, forums like Above Top Secret, Conspiracy, and even some state officials started asking questions. Why was there a strange electrical glow in the sky above Port-au-Prince right before the quake hit? Why were US military forces already stationed nearby and moved in so quickly? And here's the kicker. HAARP was reportedly conducting ionospheric experiments just days before the quake. To believers, it was obvious. The timing was too perfect. But let's slow down. Geophysicists have repeatedly said there's no known mechanism for radio frequencies, like HAARP to trigger tectonic plate movement. Earthquakes happen miles below the surface. HAARP operates in the upper atmosphere. Way above that, there's no direct link. No energy strong enough to punch through the planet's crust and rattle an entire fault line. Still, people aren't convinced. What? Because of the patterns. In 2011, Japan was rocked by a massive 9.0 earthquake that led to the Fukushima nuclear disaster. And guess what? Started trending afterward. Another HAARP conspiracy. People pointed to unusual cloud formations before the quake, strange atmospheric anomalies, and even radar data that showed odd bursts of energy over the Pacific. Then there's Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Some claimed the storm changed course unnaturally, making a beeline for New Orleans. Could HAARP, or something like it, have pushed that storm toward the coast? Again, the science says no, but conspiracy theorists argue that manipulating jet streams or heating the ionosphere could influence storm paths, even slightly, and that slight shift could mean the difference between disaster and nothing at all. But here's where things get really uncomfortable. Some people believe these disasters are just random. They believe they're tests. Think about it. If you wanted to see if a weather control weapon worked, you wouldn't aim it at New York or London. You'd hit somewhere less protected, less powerful, less likely to fight back. Places like Haiti, like like the Philippines, countries that have suffered strange natural disasters with eerie HAARP activity nearby. Again, there's no hard proof, but the pattern, the timing, the satellite evidence, it all feeds the fire. And it's not just YouTube or TikTok running with this. In 2010, the president of Venezuela outright accused HAARP of triggering the Haiti earthquake. Iran's military has claimed that Western powers are weaponizing weather. Even some Russian officials have publicly called HAARP a geophysical weapon. Let that sink in. Global governments are openly talking about this. Now, HAARP has responded. Their team says the facility has never caused an earthquake, a hurricane, or anything of the sort. They're not trying to be the weather police. They're researching basic science. And again, most scientists back them up. They say the energy HAARP puts out is tiny compared to what nature unleashes every second. But here's the thing, when it comes to global disasters, events that kill thousands, displace millions, people want answers. And sometimes, the official story feels too simple, too convenient. So, is HAARP secretly pushing fault lines and steering hurricanes? Most likely not. But the fear is real. And when the ground shakes, or the winds roar, and someone whispers, maybe this wasn't natural, that seed of doubt takes root. And that's where HAARP lives in the public imagination. Not necessarily as the villain, but as a possibility, a terrifying what if. Up next, we're heading into the wildest claim of all, mind control. That's right. Some people think HAARP isn't just manipulating the skies. It's reaching into our heads. Let's go deeper. Chapter 6. So, what if it's true? Okay, let's pretend for a second that HAARP is what the internet says it is. Let's say it actually can control weather, emotions, communication systems, maybe even thoughts. What does that mean? Where does that take us? Because let's be real, even if only 10% of the conspiracy theories are true, it would still make HAARP one of the most powerful tools ever created by humans, period. And that's kind of terrifying. Let's start with the weather angle. If HAARP can manipulate weather systems, then we're not just talking about stopping hurricanes or causing rain on command. We're talking weaponized weather. You could flood an enemy's farmland, cause a drought in a region reliant on agriculture, or trigger snowstorms to disrupt military operations. That's not science fiction anymore. That's war in the clouds. Now imagine this tech falling into the hands of a rogue state or, worse, a private corporation with no oversight. Suddenly, it's not just governments playing God. It's billionaires with mood swings and military contractors with agendas. And that brings us to a bigger question. Why wouldn't they tell us about it? Let's be honest, governments don't exactly have the best track record of transparency, from MKUltra to COINTELPRO to the NSA surveillance revelations. History is filled with programs that started off classified and ended up being horrifying in hindsight. HAARP, if used secretly, would fit right into that pattern. It doesn't even have to be evil on purpose. The people running it might think they're doing the right thing, protecting national security, controlling information, preventing chaos. But history shows that when you give powerful tools to a small group of people with zero public accountability, it almost always ends badly. Let's circle back to the TikTok part for a second. A lot of younger people get made fun of for believing in conspiracy theories. But here is the twist. Many of them aren't buying the theories because they're gullible. They're buying them because they've seen what reality looks like lately. When eggs cost $9 and every weather event is once in a lifetime, and your phone listens to you talk about socks and then shows you sock ads 2 seconds later, people start asking questions. That's not paranoia, that's just pattern recognition. And when TikTok creators start showing charts, patterns, cloud formations, and strange government documents, it's not hard to connect the dots, even if some of the lines are wobbly. Now, obviously, not everything is part of a global mind control experiment. Sometimes a cloud is just a cloud. But isn't it also weird that so many world governments suddenly stopped talking about HAARP after 2015? It was active, then closed officially, but the equipment is still there. The patents are still in use, and the research continues just under different names, like ionospheric heating or atmospheric experimentation. So here is the uncomfortable part. What if we're not supposed to know how it works? Maybe HAARP is a relic of something bigger, something older, something we don't fully understand. Or maybe it's a puzzle we're not meant to solve until it's too late. Either way, it forces us to re-examine the stories we've ever been told about how the world works and who gets to control it. And what if the real conspiracy isn't HAARP itself, but the idea that talking about it makes you look crazy? That's the genius of modern disinformation. You don't have to hide the truth. You just have to make people too embarrassed to say it out loud. If someone tells you the weather might be controlled, they're labeled a nut. But 2 weeks later, a declassified military doc confirms weather modification programs have existed since the 1970s. And suddenly, that crazy friend doesn't seem so crazy anymore. Look, we're not saying HAARP is out there frying your brainwaves through your air, but isn't it strange that so many people have the same questions and suspicions? Isn't it odd how quickly discussions about HAARP get shut down or laughed off? The same way UFOs were mocked for decades, until the Pentagon just casually admitted they were real in 2020. The same way people said 5G towers are messing with us, and then years later, articles start showing up linking EMFs to health risks. Not proof, just patterns. We're not here to give you answers. We're here to hand you a flashlight and point you toward the shadows. What you do with it is up to you. So if you're watching this and thinking, this is nuts, cool. But if you're watching and feeling like there's a little voice inside you going, what if? Maybe don't ignore that voice. Because every major story started as a rumor. Every declassified file was once a conspiracy. And sometimes, the weirdest parts of the internet. They age better than the headlines. So what do you think? Are we just overthinking this? Or is HAARP something we need to keep our eyes on? Drop a comment and let's talk about it. Smash that like if you enjoy these deep dive rabbit holes. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more stories that make you laugh, squirm, and question everything. And remember, it's only a conspiracy until it's not.